Hello and welcome to another Nosgoth News Network with me, Basilim, at the end of an absolutely momentous week for the Legacy of Kain fandom. You probably can't have missed it by now, but once again, just to reiterate, the first new Legacy of Kain games in over a decade, some would say 20 years, have just been announced earlier this week at the Sony State of Play. Soul Reaver 1 to 2 Remastered is official, and those are coming in December. Obviously, that is amazing news, and the reactions are all over the place. I have not seen the fandom so alive in such a long time, and it's really great to see the community coming back from the dead. So in all the excitement, there are still a few details to cover, still a few things that have been missed. So I'd like to just go over all of those, make sure we have everything down that's coming up. Okay, so first off, it's worth mentioning that the Soul Reaver Remastered announcement wasn't the only Legacy of Kain announcement that took place at the Sony State of Play. There was more there that perhaps didn't generate as much fanfare and excitement. And that other piece of news was the news that Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, the very first Legacy of Kain game, is coming to the PlayStation Plus service, to PS Plus Premium. Now, they haven't listed exactly when that will be released, but it looks to be towards the end of this year. So by the time of the remaster, it looks like we'll also have a new version of Blood Omen out there. Now I will say, just to be 100% clear, this looks to be a straight up port of the original PlayStation version. No bells or whistles or anything like that. But it is worth remembering that Blood Omen has historically had a bit of an interesting development time, or a post-development issues, particularly with the PC version. Obviously, the PC version has been absent had been absent for quite a while because of legal issues that arose with the distribution of that port, and there were significant obstacles towards getting it back on the marketplace now. Those were resolved a couple of years back when GOG managed to put up a version, and of course that sort of issue didn't affect ports on or that didn't affect versions on other systems. That was specifically related to the PC version. So PlayStation has always been free to put out their versions of the game, and they have done in the past. PlayStation Network, the old PSN for PlayStation 3, actually put out ports of Blood Omen and Soul Reaver in 2013 or 2012. So it's not the first time that Blood Omen has been re-released for a PlayStation system, but it is the first time that it's been available on PS4 or PS5. So you can now play Blood Omen in its original version, along with the rest of the games in the series. Also, if you've been paying attention, you will know that the Soul Reaver Remaster news didn't come exactly out of the blue. Not quite in the same way that, say, the Tomb Raider Remastered has or had, because there had been several hints and leaks that had gotten out about it coming, not least the entire trailer and a few of the screenshots being leaked on the day of the State of Play. But prior to that, there had been some speculation around July, because so a pair of statues appeared at the San Diego Comic-Con bearing the logo of Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered. Now, I brushed those aside as rumours at the time, particularly because we didn't know the context for them or anything like that. Obviously, it's since been revealed that Soul Reaver 1 to 2 Remastered was a real project. Well, now those statues have officially risen in the proper manner that they were supposed to. So shortly after the release of all of the fanfare with Soul Reaver 1 to 2 Remastered, Dark Horse announced that those statues of Raziel and Kain would be coming out as well. So those statues are real. Interestingly enough, they don't bear the Soul Reaver 1 to 2 Remastered branding that they did at the San Diego Comic-Con. They do have a very, very similar logo. So if you would like to get those statues, you can pre-order them now. They will be coming a little further down the line. It looks like they have quite a limited run, and they are quite expensive. So just be aware of that. And of course, if you are in Europe or outside of the US, bear in mind that shipping is also going to be a bit expensive. The statues themselves are pretty high quality. It's got to be said. The Raziel one in particular looks very similar to the previous Gaming Heads statue that was released about 10 years ago now. And again, that was very high quality. What sets it aside from the Gaming Head statue is that the statues here come as sort of companion pieces. So there are separate statues of Raziel and Kain, which you can sort of put together into a little diorama with them sort of fighting each other with the swords. So that's a neat little touch there. As I say, you can pre-order those now. Those are coming soon. And there was more news to come this week as well. Because we got more information on the long-hinted No Clip Legacy of Kain documentary. Now, once again, to give this a little background, last year, No Clip did a documentary on the work of Crystal Dynamics. It touched upon Tomb Raider, it touched upon Gex, it touched upon their formation, but it also delved a little into Legacy of Kain. Quite legendarily, it ended up with what you might call a little bit of a tease about the popularity of Legacy of Kain and about how Legacy of Kain was one of their most requested franchises, finishing with the words, "You ain't seen nothing yet." Quite categorically, we can say that that wording was true now, but now it seems that No Clip is coming back to Crystal. It's coming back to Legacy of Kain. They have, of course, been teasing this news through their Patreon and through their announcements for a little while that Legacy of Kain was back on the menu. It now looks like that may be coming to fruition as well, because this week, shortly after the announcement of the Soul Reaver Remaster, they put out an official teaser for the Legacy of Kain documentary. And looking through that teaser is a joy in itself, because you have Danny from No Clip going through boxes of Soul Reaver and Legacy of Kain content, which is, well, previously they mentioned that Crystal Dynamics had a large archive of stuff. This seems to be some of the actual materials from the archive. Now, I recognised some of the manuals and magazines they put up straight away, but there does seem to be a lot of amazing things in there. There are stacks of tapes. There's film reel. There's scripts. There's so much stuff that's in there that makes you, if you're a Legacy of Kain fan that is into all the old materials, there's a lot of stuff there that is just mouth-watering, that makes you want to grab it and read through it. They stop and freeze on one of the scripts with some early dialogue that was not recorded elsewhere. Michael Bell saying, or would have had Michael Bell saying things like "Man Reaver." Fear the Tube. Now, Fear the Tube was Kain's line for the tube cheat in the game. So Fear the Tube was supposed to be said by Raziel as well. There are some in jokes in there. One of them has again Raziel saying, "I blame the designers," and "Come on, Kabuko." Obviously, a reference to Daniel Kabuko, who is an old hand and a friend of the channel. And at the end, it shows sort of a montage of all the different people they've interviewed for this. Some of them quite familiar, some of them not so familiar. But if you recognise any of the faces, there's a lot there that suggests this could be quite a special documentary. So I urge you all to look out for that one. Looks like that is coming in November. And circling back around to Remastered again, it just has to be said that it's quite amazing to see the activity in the forums again, and to see the place buzzing. Sure, there are some, should we say, interesting characters arising once again, but I mean, if you've been around the fandom long enough, you know that there was always some interesting characters back in the day as well. There are always some people that come with off-the-wall takes. There has particularly been some really bizarre takes being put about, but some people just want their frothy outrage for some reason. I would probably say that just to remind people that what was shown in the trailer is early footage, and if you go back and look at some of the old trailers, particularly for the Legacy of Kain series, it would be most relevant, but any old trailers from around this time, even newer games, a lot of things tend to change between trailers and release. Things that look cartoony can get tweaked very easily, and they often end up being quite different by the time of release, especially when it comes to things like brightness. Often it's something that is done last, so things looking a bit bright and colourful, I don't think is anything to be too much to be worried about. It's worth saying they did put out a number of other pictures in the store pages and things like that. I did briefly mention them before, but I think it's probably worth saying now. We have some pictures of the Sanctuary of the Clans. We have pictures of the Wraithblade, pictures of the Ruined City. Again, we have that quite brilliant Malkaya design. We have the Sarafan Stronghold. We have pictures of vampire wraiths, which I did note that they were obviously deliberately harkening back to the original concepts for those, which is quite a nice touch. Similarly, Rahab. There have been a few jokes about Rahab, but he does seem to be quite obviously going for a similar look to the original Rahab design. If you are unaware, Rahab did have a design change partway through, and it kind of removed his gaping maw that he originally had, and reduced it from sort of a swamp monster to something a bit flatter. They've now gone back to that original design for the remaster, so it's something worth noting. Again, we have some pictures of Mobius looking amazing. The Dark Forge. We have William's sarcophagus from the Sarafan Stronghold Chapel. Again, looking gorgeous, beautifully ornate, and restoring some of the writing that was removed from the release or was part of later releases. They've put that back in. There is pictures of Zephon, who looks terrifying, and the Elder God. And there are other things. There's a couple of other interesting pictures that are worth sort of picking out. One is a sort of a set of pictures, a collage of what seem to be the achievements. Now you can see in those what potentially we might be getting achievements for. So you can spot a couple of the glyphs in there. It looks like the force glyph and the fire glyph. So presumably getting achievements for those. One on the far left, or the top right, top left even, looks a bit like Chronoplast Visions, maybe. Raziel standing in front of a portal that it could be, I suppose it could be the Abyss or something like that. But I wonder if that's not the Chronoplast Visions. There's obviously one for Groundlings. Again, if you're unaware, those are demon spawn that trigger very rarely in Soul Reaver 2. So presumably an achievement for those. One looks to be, it looks very similar to a Reaver altar activation. So presumably one for them. And there's also one with what looks to be 3 sorceresses. They have got green eyes, so we're not sure if there isn't some Hilden activity there, but it looks to be some sorceresses. And the other picture that's worth paying attention to is the picture of the map. Now, this looks to be the Soul Reaver 1 in-game map. This is a new thing that's been added for the remaster. It wasn't present in the original game. And this is our first glimpse then of the game world as it appears in Soul Reaver 1. And it's worth saying we haven't seen this time period before. There was long speculation that it might appear, or that the world would appear quite differently to how it did in Blood Omen, given that there's supposed to be cataclysms and earthquakes and a dying ecology. That does seem to be reflected in the world map, and there are some elements which are quite different to how the world appeared. Also, if you are paying attention to it, there are some elements which might be familiar from previous maps. So certain things have been canonized that were perhaps not as concrete before. They've now been canonized, so it's a very interesting thing. Obviously, everyone waiting with bated breath for Soul Reaver Remastered. Not sure when the next information drops will be, but we'll all be looking forward to that. I think it's worth saying at this juncture as well that the Legacy of Kain franchise is not just undead anymore. It seems we're on the quest to revival. It's worth mentioning, of course, that in June, we're at the end of September now. At the end of June, 3 months ago, we had nothing. Nothing at all. Legacy of Kain was dead. All we'd had was a survey. And here we are, a few short months later. We have had one of the most successful Kickstarter campaigns in history to fund a new graphic novel. We have got anniversary celebrations that have brought us a brand new art book. We've got a No Clip documentary which is detailing an archive of materials to make the mouth water if you're a lore hound, if you're a cut content hound. We have merchandise as far as the eyes can see, including some quite amazing statues, and to top it all off, we are getting new releases. We've got new releases of Blood Omen and Soul Reaver for the Evercade system. We are getting new releases of Blood Omen for PlayStation, and the pièce de résistance is we are getting Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered before Christmas. What a time to be alive. What a time to be a Legacy of Kain fan. The future really looks bright. And as Kain once said, it's the first taste of that bitter illusion. Hope. thanks once again for joining me here on Nosgoth News, and I'll see you guys next time. Vae Victus.